Everyone here is either a self-made millionaire or you intend to be in the future. Everybody loves the subject of becoming wealthy. And then I'm going to give you 7 keys to becoming an outstanding leader in this industry and to becoming one of the highest paid people in our society and becoming wealthy. The wonderful thing is, they're not complicated. In order to become a millionaire, you have to become a completely different person. You have to develop character beyond 99% of the people in the world. You have to develop honesty, discipline, quality relationships, and the willingness and the ability to work, set priorities, and all kinds of stuff, because without that, nothing is possible. The first one of all is dream big dreams. I couldn't believe it. Every single person who finally made it said the turning point in their life. They were driving down the road of life, not making much progress, which is that 80-20 rule that you hear. 80% of people make 20% of the money. And what happens at a certain point in life, they change and go on a different road. And here's the turning point. It is make a decision. Make a decision that I'm going to become wealthy. I'm going to become a millionaire, and I will work hard, long hours. I will sacrifice. I will pay the price. I will do everything that is necessary. So I wanted to share with you what I call the 7 C's. So the first C is the C of clarity. Clarity is my favorite word in success. It's my favorite word in business. I have done consulting for more than 1,000 corporations, large companies, worldwide companies like IBM, General Motors, PepsiCo, Bank of America, and many big companies. I've also worked with more than 10,000 small and medium-sized companies. What I found is in every single situation, problems occur when the company becomes unclear about what it is they're doing or how it is they're doing it. So I've developed a program which is really just a fun program for me intellectually. It's called the 2-Day MBA, and it shows 10 different factors of a company. These are the ones that I learned when I went to university of my 30s, and I find that all problems come from lack of clarity. What is your product? The first question you ask. Who is your customer? What does your customer consider to be more valuable than anything else? How are you superior to your competitors? What can you do to attract more customers? How can you close those customers? Number 2 is write it down. Write it down, write it down, write it down. There's nothing more important than writing down your goals, because if it's not written down, it's merely a fantasy. Now, they've done a whole series of studies at Harvard, Yale, Cornell, and so on, but the difference between students who type their notes and students who write their notes, the students who write their notes all get straight A's. The students who type their notes forget everything before the end of the day, because writing forces you to use 3 abilities. Your kinesthetic ability, your physical ability of writing, your audio ability, you see it when you're writing it, and your auditory ability, you say it to yourself when you're writing. So you activate the 3 major parts of your brain simultaneously, like a laser beam from a space station onto a piece of paper, and your subconscious mind accepts it as a command. Your superconscious mind starts to work on it 24 hours a day. Just write it down, write it down. It's the most amazing darn thing. If all you did was write down one goal and leave this conference, your life will be different forever. Because all kinds of things will start to happen, and you'll say, well, that's a coincidence. I just wrote that goal down when I was in that meeting this afternoon, and then I got this phone call or something in the mail, or I saw something on TV or something. It's just phenomenal. Step number 1, decide what you want. Number 2, write it down. Number 3, set a deadline. Tell your subconscious when you want it. I want this by such and such a date. So every goal always ends with a use by date, as I achieved this goal by the state, and you write it in the present tense. Step number 4 is make a list of everything that you can think of to do. Just make a list, and as you think of more things, add it to the list. Keep writing it down, writing it down. Sometimes you think of something in the middle of the night, write it down. Keep a pad of paper next to your bed and quickly write it down so you don't forget it. Just write it down, write it down. That's number 4, and this is really important. It's the great turning point, like a massive ship turning in the ocean. Your whole life starts to turn when you write down a list of the steps you're going to have to take. I don't recommend other people's books because I've written so many myself, and I summarize hundreds of books that I've read over the years. But there is one book that had a great influence on me, and it's called the Checklist Manifesto. Anybody read this book? The Checklist Manifesto. It was written by a doctor, an emergency ward doctor, and he talks about the value of checklists when you are trying to accomplish a goal, build a business, raise a child, whatever you want to do. He says, create a checklist. He said everything in the world, this room, the car, a swimming pool, everything follows a checklist. Everything requires a checklist to build it, and the wonderful thing about organizing a checklist before you begin work on a project has an extraordinary effect on your life. What he does is he teaches in the most entertaining way how people who do not use checklists died, went bankrupt, the most successful people in finance in the world, how they use checklists in order to organize their financial life. Business people anyway, it's the one book that I would recommend. It's a short book. It's just fascinating reading. It's called The Checklist Manifesto. Anyway, so take your list of goals and organize your list by priority. Make a checklist. What's number 1? What's number 2? What's number 3? And so on. And as you get more information, change the list, reorganize it, write it, move things up and down. Step number 5 or set number 6 is to take action on your list. Take action on the most important thing on your list. Do something. Launch. Get going. Do it now. Do it immediately. Get up and do something. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can be revising your papers, making a phone call, ordering a book or something. But do something, which is sort of like the kickoff at a football game. Just kick the ball off as far as you can. Number 7, and this is going to make you rich, happy, popular, and fit. Number 7 is do something every day on your most important goal. Do something every day on your most important goal. So here's the exercise I'm going to give you to take home with you and do when you leave us. And by the way, from now on, do. Earl Nightingale said something many years ago. He said, you don't get what you want in life. He said, you get what you deserve. And so I began to study that. Deserve, deserve, deserve. And I found that deserve comes from the Latin. And it comes from the words de, which means from service, from service. So you get what you want in life from service to other people. And so the people who serve the most people the very best are the ones who make the most amount of money in the shortest period of time. But here's something else. When you help other people improve the quality of your life, your self-esteem goes up, and your self-confidence goes up, and you feel happy, and you like yourself more, and you like other people. It's the most amazing darn thing. You just put your life on this wonderful upward spiral by deserving that people will buy from you, by looking for ways to help them. How can I help this person to improve the quality of their life and their family and their work? So see yourself as a helper, and your job is to deserve more. You'll find you look at the Steve Jobs and the Bill Gates and the multi-millionaires or individuals, and you think these people's focused. They had this obsession with a product of some kind that would really help people to improve the quality of their lives, and that's all they think about and all they talk about. And the only people who succeed in those companies are people who have the same obsession with customer service. Tom Peters, in his book In Search of Excellence many years ago, said the most important principle of all was the obsession with customer service. The most successful and highest paid people just think of us serving people and helping people improve their lives all the time. So that's the most important level of competence that you want to achieve. First of all, you have clearer goals, and then you say, what is it that I really love to do that really helps other people improve the quality of their life? And how can I become really good at doing that more and more of the time? The third C is the C of concentration, and these are not necessarily in order, but in a way, these are. The C of concentration is your ability to focus, which we've talked about before. It's your ability to focus single-mindedly on one thing at a time, and to work on that one task until it's complete, and to discipline yourself not to do anything else, or to become distracted by emails and bells and bips and noises and things like that. It's just the ability to focus like a laser beam on a single task. Clarity, be absolutely clear about your goals and what you need to do to achieve them. Competence, become very good at your tasks. And number 3 is concentration. Concentrate single-mindedly on your most important task and stay with it until it's complete. By the way, I could speak for 2 days just on concentration, and I have taught these principles all over the world. But that's all that you need. Start and finish your most important task. Number 4 is constraints. Now, constraints are a concept that was developed in Tel Aviv by a management consultant many years ago, and it says that between where you are today and where you want to be sometime in the future, a goal, there is always one constraint or choke point that determines the speed at which you get from here to here. That's the constraint. So, the art of life is to identify the constraints that are holding you back from achieving the goal that you want to achieve, and it could be something simple, like finding a parking space. It could be something simple like getting your shopping done and so on. Continually ask what the constraint or limiting factor is, what they call it, the limiting factor between here and where you want to go. So you say to yourself, all right, You want to achieve a particular goal. So you ask yourself, what is the one factor that determines the speed at which you achieve that goal? What is the one factor that determines the speed at which you achieve your most important goal? And you work with your downline, you work with your consultants, you work with other people, and you help them to be absolutely clear. Don't try to change the world. Try to change one thing, one factor. Try to alleviate the one factor, and that'll change your whole life. So I'm going to give you the other principles that we have. The number 5 is continuous learning and development. Dedicate yourself to becoming better and better at what you do. It must be a part of your life. You must breathe in, breathe out, and learn new things. Self-made millionaires, self-made billionaires spend 60 to 90 minutes every day studying their field, reading new material. Warren Buffett was just relegated from number 3 to number 4 richest man in the world, and Warren Buffett reads 500 pages a day. Warren Buffett reads 5 to 8 hours a day. Warren Buffett reads 8 hours, 8 days a week. He reads all the time. Number 6 is commitment, and we know this because you talked about it a lot. His commitment is really important. There's no success without commitment. Whether it's you put in your whole heart into what you're doing and putting your whole heart into what you're doing for a long time. But if you do, there is no limit on what you can accomplish. As you get up in the morning and you make a decision that by gum, I am going to succeed in this business, no matter how long it takes, no matter how many hours a day. Number 7 is courage. And courage, Winston Churchill said, the word courage is rightly considered the foremost of the virtues, for upon it all others depend. And courage, what you have is 2 parts. The first part of courage is the courage to begin, to launch, to take a chance, to face failure and rejection, to try something with a very great possibility that you will fail, and you'll feel embarrassed and upset, and your self-esteem will go down and so on. But the second part of courageous persistence, it's the power to keep going and keep pushing yourself and driving yourself. So how do you develop this unshakable quality of persistence, which will guarantee your success in life? Nothing could stop you if you don't quit. If you don't quit, then the only alternative is you must succeed, and eventually you must succeed greatly. Belief creates the actual fact. In the Bible it says, "Whatever a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." For example, if you absolutely believe that you are meant to be a great success in life, and that no matter what happens, nothing can stop you from achieving the greatness that is yours, you'll act in a manner consistent with that belief, and you'll eventually make it come true. If you doubt your ability to be successful for any reason, this negative belief will be demonstrated in your tendency to hold yourself back. The most important part of the law of belief is the necessity for you to question your own self-limiting beliefs. These are the beliefs that act like the brakes on your potential. These are the nagging doubts and fears that people have about themselves and their abilities that cause them to sell themselves short. When you have self-limiting beliefs, you have a tendency to settle for far less than you may be capable of. Self-limiting beliefs revolve around your ability to lose weight, or quit smoking, or earn a certain amount of money, or be attractive to members of the opposite sex, or develop new abilities that are more conducive to your success and happiness. One of the most important steps you can take toward achieving great success is for you to question these self-limiting beliefs. You might even ask others who know you well what self-limiting beliefs they seem to think that you have that may be holding you back. Remember, self-limiting beliefs are often used as excuses. A good way to test your self-limiting beliefs is to ask yourself whether anyone else with the limitations you perceive you have has nonetheless gone on to achieve success. You can also look at your own actions to decide what it is that you truly value. Remember, it's not what you say or hope or wish or intend that is a true expression of your values and beliefs. It's only what you do. Children are very aware of this, and they ignore the advice of their parents when their parents say, "Do as I say, not as I do." The fact is, we all seem to know that a person's actions are the true reflection of their innermost convictions. There's a great deal of confusion and unhappiness in the world today because many people feel that if they say something emphatically enough or write about it, it means that they truly believe it. But this is false. You only truly believe what you do. Your actions do speak far more loudly than your words. For example, if you truly believe in the values of persistence and dedication, it'll be evident in the things that you do every single day, vibrating in perfect harmony or resonance with the C string on the first piano. One of the most common examples of this law is when you enter a room full of people, and you almost invariably have a sympathetic resonance or attraction with someone else in the room. You'll have a tendency to gravitate toward a person with whom you are comfortable and compatible, and that person will have a tendency to gravitate towards you. Very often, two single people at a social gathering will have a level of sympathetic resonance that draws them towards each other and into conversation. By the same token, when you have a very clear goal or idea, you will tend to attract people to you and be attracted to people who have ideas and information and resources that can help you to realize that goal. Another illustration of the law of attraction is its opposite, which is the law of repulsion. When you begin to become a particular kind of person because of the way you change your thinking, you will find yourself attracted to people who are similar to you. And you will also find yourself repelling and being repelled by people who don't think the way you do. This law explains why positive people tend to associate with other positive people, and why negative people tend to associate with other negative people, and why neither group finds the other group of very much interest. You can begin to fill your life with the kind of people that you respect and admire by simply becoming the kind of person in your thoughts that will attract them to you. The 13th law of success is the law of choice, which says that you are always free to choose the content of your conscious mind. But instant we have in life is that of change. Everything is changing, even as you listen to this tape. But the wonderful thing about the law of change is that nothing is fixed either. All progress requires change, and since change is happening in any case, you can be and have and do anything you want by simply harnessing the forces of change and taking advantage of them. The law of change also says that your life can only get better when you get better, but not until. It says that you can't remain the same and somehow improve. The law says that if you don't take advantage of change, you will end up being the victim of change. Things will happen over which you have little or no control, and you'll simply have to go along and adjust your actions and behaviors to whatever occurs. Now let me tell you a story that is true in more cases than not. Once upon a time, there was a young man from an average home with an average education, working at an average job, and who had an average group of friends. Like most average young men, he was primarily interested in girls, sports, and television. He had to have a good time, and he spent most of his money enjoying himself. He looked upon his job as a necessary evil that paid for his average lifestyle, and like most average people, he was going nowhere with his life. Then one day, something happened to him. Perhaps he read a book that woke him up, or listened to an audio program, or attended a motivational seminar. Whatever.